Welcome to Lost Culture, the one-stop destination for everything pop culture. My name is Astøn, and I'll be your host for today's episode of Lost Culture's Power Recap. Now, this recap is for Season 4, Episode 1, When I Get Out. So, a lot went on in this episode. So, before we get started, let's make sure we leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And let's jump right back into it. So, going on in this episode, we open up with Ghost. We got Ghost being arrested. Well, he's already arrested. He's in jail. He's kind of like taking off all of his jewelry and everything. And in that same instant, it's like he's being stripped down from like what we're used to seeing Ghost. We're always like used to seeing a clean-cut Ghost, expensive jewelry, expensive clothes on. And we see he's actually being stripped from that. And that's like a very telling thing about James when we see him being stripped like that. 'Cause even in Season 2, we see when James is off his game, his clothes are all wrinkled. So like what he's actually going through is normally depicted in his in the way he's presenting himself as far as clothing. So that's one big thing we've seen from this. Another big thing that popped out about this was how unprepared James was for the situation. Like, he didn't plan on going down for anything. We see he didn't have any money in the bank. He sold all of his stocks. He had no way to get any money. Like, if he would have needed it, he was just hoping the deal went through with forgot her name. Went through with the hotel chain and put his clubs inside there. So we see all of that just going down. All that work was right down the drain. And another thing we've seen about Ghost in this episode, that he's extremely vulnerable. We see when he's being like picked on by Charlie Murphy. We see when he kind of like get denied his bail. We see all of his emotions like on his mind, like, Dad, I can't believe I'm stuck in here. I can't believe I'm having to go through this. And it's crazy to see Ghost in this situation because I'm not really used to see him in this situation. I never really expected him to be in jail. Like, yes, no, I knew he was going to be in jail this season, but as of last season, like, I didn't expect him to ever go to jail for doing something, for most of, like, definitely for a crime that he didn't do. I didn't really expect that. That's why it's so crazy for me to see Ghost in that situation this year. I love seeing him in a new element. I love to see what he comes out as. I know, hopefully, like, you know, they say, like, sometimes going to jail makes people worse than they actually are. So, he's already a bad person. So, putting him in that jungle where he has to basically become Ghost full time to survive, I love to see how he blooms. Like, there's no more Jamie. Right now, he's playing Jamie for the first episode, but I feel like it's gonna get to a point where Jamie isn't gonna cut it in jail anymore. He's gonna have to like dead Jamie and live Ghost full time for him to survive in there. Moving on from there, we got Kanan. So Kanan. Boy, I don't know what's gonna go on with Breeze and everything else, but we see when Dre walks in there and lets her know everything that's going down, his face lights up. He's glad to see Ghost is in jail. He's hoping Ghost is going down for it. And one thing I didn't like about this was I feel like he's so stupid when it comes to this whole Tariq situation. Yes, it was smart to let him go, but on that same note, that's once I feel like he's not going to pay. I don't know if it's Juice Box or Breeze. Once he stopped paying her, there's going to be a point where he's not going to pay her or something, or the other dude, he's not going to pay. And that's going to cause a rift in that situation. Even when we see even Dre and her get into it, we see Kanan doesn't really care about it. And he's just like, oh, this is Dre, he cool, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I don't really care about y'all getting paid. All I care about is me getting back into the drug game. So that right there is going to be an issue, which is going to continue to fester and bloom into a bigger situation later on in the season. That's what I believe. Now, going on from there, we got that whole Tariq situation. He's still egging on, even when Drake gives him advice like, look, we got feds looking at us, so we need to calm down with this. Like, you can't just be all in Tariq life like this because it's going to throw red flags, and the more red flags that pop up, the deeper the feds are going to look. So you got to calm down, be distant. You can still do your little mind manipulation thing, but don't do it on a regular basis. And then the story he and Tariq came up with was so garbage. Like, it's so stupid. I don't know how Tariq even fell for that, man. Like, there's no way Tariq is the offspring of Ghost or Jamie. Like, the stupid stuff that he does is, bro, it's crazy to me that he puts himself in the situations that he do. Yeah, it's really stupid. Now, moving on to Kanan and Dre situation, I don't know what's going to happen there. We see when Kanan introduced Dre, he actually said he works for Ghost, not that he works for me. And you see Dre have to pronounce, like, no, I work for you. And I don't know if that was testing Dre or what, but he even, like, he doesn't really care about anybody but himself, and he makes that clear several times in that conversation. I'd love to see where that goes. I'm thinking that Dre's gonna have to kill Kanan to prove his loyalty to Tommy, because moving on to Tommy, we know Tommy does not trust Dre. Whatever little story that Dre gave Tommy is not buying it. He knows the relationship that he has with Tariq, and he knows Tariq wouldn't choose Dre over him, like, especially with him not being around that long. But it's crazy that the relationship that he built with Kanan so quickly, it's ridiculous. Like, I thought Tariq was a smarter kid than that, but obviously he's not. He's really not. So we see Tommy, and he's not really adjusting to being the connect, because he's always been the distro, somewhat, like half of the distro, and now he's moved up, and now he's got, like, he got Julio in charge, and I want to know what's going to go on between Julio and Dre. That's one situation that's going to play, because we see Julio definitely favors Tommy's behaviors over Ghost's. Because we see, first thing he does is he's wifing up the little prostitute chick. We see he's forcing Dre to hire the prostitute chick, and this just spells. This doesn't spell like this is gonna be a recipe for disaster. We see all these different little signs that this business is not gonna last long. Yeah, it's crazy because Julio was always smarter than that. So to see him just, like, throwing his power around is crazy to me. Now, this whole episode, we've seen Tommy keep harping back to the question, who is Slim? I don't know how long it's going to take for Tommy to find out who Slim really is. I'm hoping that it takes a little bit longer, and that it lingers on a little bit before they really find out who it is. At least let Ghost get out before they find out. Or maybe Dre handle it before they actually find out who Ghost actually, not Ghost, but who Slim actually is. That's one thing that I think would be in Dre's best interest to do, is just to handle it. Because we see, even when, like, he gives Kanan the money, we see Kanan texts Tariq right after that. So Dre's going to have to handle that situation. Back on with Tommy, we see all the different relationships that he built. He got Proctor, who's like kind of his connect to the connect. That relationship's kind of weird, and it's kind of crazy how fast that we see Tommy actually had the green light to kill Milan. Someone above Milan gave the okay for this situation to happen. Now, we see Tommy is still have to answering to people. He's not the head of the cartel or anything. But I love to see what happens if Tommy moves up again. Now, going on with this, we see Proctor got a whole new haircut. He's living life down in the city. He decided to stay in New York for a while. I don't know how long he's going to be in town for, but he's definitely chilling out of town for a while. He's loving it. He going with the body. He got a tan going on. He ain't living life like that in Syria. I forgot where they're from. But it's not Syrian. Forgot where he's from. Now, going on from that relationship, we got Kesha. We see Kami actually didn't kill Kesha, and I'm glad they answered that in the first episode. That was one of those questions that didn't need to linger on, but we seen kind of like a relationship there kind of budding. We see he's getting her to trust him. Obviously, she has a reason to trust him. He already saved her life. She already told him, like, you saved my life. You see, he's like, trust me, we're going to get you through this whole little Fed situation. They come knocking on your door. We're going to coach you on what to say and what not to say to the feds. And I like to see that Tommy is building a new relationship outside of Holly and seeing something that's legitimately something that he just built on his own. I want to see where that goes. I definitely want to see how that turns out. I actually feel like Kesha and him might actually have, they're definitely going to have a friendship. I'm predicting that it's going to go a little bit further than a friendship, because with her having the kid and everything, I feel like that's going to be his way to redeem himself for the situation that happened with Holly. So that's where I feel about this situation. I love to see how they actually played that thing out. Now the drug aspects, we see Ghost is in jail, feds are going down everything, and it's going to be way harder for him to move these drugs. He still has control of the clubs because Dre's in charge of that. We see the pipeline is all the way open. He's connecting with everybody. They didn't say if the what's the little Ruiz's gang. They didn't say if they were still down with Tommy or not. They're trying to figure out who actually killed Ruiz or anything. They really didn't say anything about that. They didn't even mention that at all in this episode, and that's crazy to me. Like, how does the head of a gang just come up missing and nobody asking questions about it? So that's one thing that stuck out to me. I guess we just move on to Dre. Dre has his relationship struggling this week. So we see him and Kanan. Him and Kanan always had that awkward situation, like where Kanan, he fears Kanan more than he respects Kanan. I think he respects Ghost, but as far as Kanan go, it's definitely more of a fear element there than respect. I believe it was respect in season 2 when we first were introduced to Dre, but now that everything Dre's been through with Kanan, it's definitely a lot more of a fear aspect there. Like, he's paying money that he can't even afford to pay just so he could basically cover up his lie just a little bit longer. Moving on from there, we see he's already butting heads with Julio like flexing his little power, whatever he got going on right now. So we see that situation going on. We got him and Tommy. They're not really butting heads, but Tommy is just really suspicious about him. He don't trust him with the whole Tariq situation. He knows Dre is keeping that from him. But even though Dre tried to, like, Dre brought it up, like, look, I tried to warn you about Tariq earlier, and you told me not to worry about it. It's family business. So anything that happened from there is not my fault because I came to you about it, which is partially true, not partially true, because he didn't give him the whole story. He was very vague about it, like, look, just keep an eye on Tariq. And now that something happened, he could have just came up with, like, look, Slim is Kanan, and Kanan's been, like, keeping this over my head, keeping my daughter over my head this whole time. So that's one thing I would have done if I was Dre. Just kind of, this is the perfect time for him to come up, or go visit Dre, go visit Ghost, and let him know the situation was going on. But at some point, he's going to have to let everybody know, well, Kanan is still alive. Him and Julio are definitely going to butt heads. They're definitely going to have to get that situation sorted out. Even though Julio is number one, they need Dre to run the clubs. That's a known fact. Without Dre, those clubs are going to crumble. We already see that with the whole Julio just putting random people working in the club just because they're so stupid. It's so stupid. I feel like he's going to be going through that whole time around where he's going to get jealous because dudes are flirting with her and she's going to be flirting with other dudes. Yeah, that's definitely going to backfire for Julio. Now, one thing I'm glad that happened in this season is Proctor. We got a deeper insight to his family, like his family aspects. We never seen this side of Proctor. We knew his wife had a drug problem, and she had gave him custody of his daughter, as long as he kept financing her drugs. But we never actually had to see it play out on the screen. And now we see how bad his wife actually is, and the relationship that him and his daughter actually has. We see they're pretty close. We see he does like a little earmuffs things when he cusses, and he hates that she's in that situation with her mom. Any good parent would, regardless if it was a mom or a father. It sucks that you can't depend on your other significant other to raise your child. And that's definitely going to have like issues with your child in the future. But we see Proctor is working on his best to set an example for his daughter and to keep her safe in the situation while he's still dealing with his own like BS. So I definitely want to see how Proctor's story turns out, how his arc goes. We see he's not respected as a lawyer. Like they kind of seem like as like a slumbag lawyer. Like, oh, if you're guilty of something, go to Proctor, he'll get you off. So he's seen as a good lawyer, but he's seen as one of those lawyers who only do like slumbag cases and things of that nature. Going on from there, we got Angela. Angela, I thought that one of my predictions was her and Proctor was going to be squaring off this whole season, and it's not going to be going off. So Proctor is going to be dealing with Sung Kang's character in this season. That's who he's really going to be squaring off with. And we see Sung Kang is actually up 1-0 right now. Proctor lost first round. He didn't get the bail for Jamie. Jamie's still locked up, catching the belly clubs to the back of the knee. It's all bad. We see Angela having all her issues. We see she's going with Tasha. She has her issue with Raina. She got her issue with the case. Because honestly, she is a weak link to that case. That whole case is really flimsy. The girl you're dating after you break up with her pushes a case on you for the murder of her ex-boyfriend. If that don't sound super suspect to me, like that's definitely what he's going to use for escape. Now, going on from there, we seen the fallout from the whole James and Angela like relationship. We see Raina had a little fallout with her because it's true. Just last week, she's telling the kids she wants them to move with them. She wants them to have a nice apartment where they all can have their own space and spend time together, cooking dinner and everything. And then fast forward to now, and you're arresting my dad. You're inside my house with all your police friends, just rampaging the house, throwing everything all over the place. It's crazy. And I love how this episode opened up with her. We see how fragile she is. We see she's sitting on the counter. She drops her glass of wine and everything. That's why she's going over everything that happened. So crazy. So crazy. What else happened? Her and Tasha sparring off inside the house, which is crazy to me. I don't know why they're in the house going back and forth like this, being so petty. And the little like evidence collector guy, that shit was super funny. He's looking at him like when they're going back and forth and shit. Bro, that was hella funny when they were doing that part. Like, they both need to be smarter. They both need to just be grown women about this situation. And it is what it is at the point. I would be upset too, but them fighting in public is not going to make things better for either one of them. We're going to see it can leave up the issues for Tasha, and then for Angela, if she's trying to have a strong case against James, you're going to see the pettiness going on in that situation and show up more weaknesses in the case. Moved on to the next part with the part I feel like, what the fuck is going on? Sandoval. Sandoval has the dumbest move of the week. Sandoval, like, bro, why did you keep the gun? You had the perfect chance to get rid of it. You grabbed the gun and went back into the car to go. Bro, you're being reckless like now. Slow your roll. You're being reckless. Now, with Sandoval, just going through the whole case and everything, I feel like he was mad conflicted. I don't know what he's going to do. He has the evidence. I think he's going to make that gun turn up somewhere else. Don't know how that's going to work. But I think he's going to actually get James off of the case. I feel like he feels so bad about it that he's going to be the weak link that gets James off. I'm telling you, Sandoval is going to be the one who gets James off this case. And I like to see I like the way they shot his face when he was showed his face when they mentioned James being a father and a husband and everything. And he was like, oh, like he understood what he would do for his daughter and his wife. I'm glad they showed that image when they did that. Going on to this young Tasha. Now, Tasha has some recognitions in here. She's finally done with Ghost. No longer is she with Ghost. She's done. Like, she's definitely done once she found the necklace. I think she's really naive about the whole Tariq situation. I don't understand how she believed him just so easily when he said, "Oh, Slim is nobody. I've just been hanging out with my friends." I have a lot of friends. None of my friends ever sent my mom a ransom text. None of them thought it was a funny joke. None of that. It's stupid. And we see her and Kesha pop back up, and we see Kesha's not being 100% with her, and we see she's trying to bend that relationship. I don't know if it's actually going to be mended. I feel like that relationship is going to be more Tommy and Kesha going on in the future. It's definitely not going to be Tasha and Kesha. Tommy and Kesha are going to have something going on this season. Moving on to Kesha. I feel like she's going to be pulled into the drug game now. Even though she's already involved in it somewhat, her relationship with Tommy is definitely going to get her deeper into the situation than she wanted to be. And I want to see how that turns out. I personally want to see how that turns out. I'm excited for it. I want to see Kesha get into the drug game, kind of like it reminds me how Tasha got into the drug game, but kind of like mixed, kind of like backwards. It was more so Tommy was protecting her, so she just started holding Tommy down for that. But beyond that, Tommy didn't have to hold her down. Tommy could have killed her and it would have been no issue. But he didn't do it. And that's where this relationship with Tommy and Kesha going to bond up. She's going to start holding Tommy down with the whole little drug game and everything. And I'm all for that. I want to see Kesha get into the game. I want to see Kesha hold down Tommy. I want to see how that turns out. Now, Sun Kang, we see he's playing the lawyer who took over the whole James trial. And I don't know if this trial will take all season. It's probably take about 4 or 5 episodes. I don't see this going all season, because there's going to be another situation that pops up midway through the season that they're going to have to deal with. Or let me see, the case could go all season if they make Kanan the season 5, the episode 5 arc. Like, that's what they had to do. Like, either they're going to wrap Kanan up on episode 5, or they're going to wrap the trial up somewhere around there. They're both not going to be going through the whole season. It's going to be one or the other. Now, that's really all we have. I'm glad to see, like, we got to know more about Sun Kang's character. We see, like, he's like a hotshot lawyer for hotshot like lawyer from the FBI. We see he's really there for their high profile cases. That's what he normally does. And I see through his personality that's what kind of things he shines into. When high pressure situations, he shines in those situations. That's from the little glimpse that we got. We see he wasn't stressed out. He was thinking through the whole situation at all times. He already knew his weak link when he walked into the room. He talked to her about it and showed what weakness they had for the defense and what weaknesses they had for the prosecutors. And I want to see how well versed he actually is, because we see he did good when it came to the judge. He made James look like a monster that he is, and he got that bail revoked. And that's what I like to see when we bring in like these high class actors. You don't know who he is. I know him a lot from Fast and the Furious. I'm a big Fast and the Furious fan, big Han fan. So him coming back, him being in a show that I like also, is just like brings me extra joy. Now, for this week, my power move of the week, it would have to go to Julio. Julio walked into the club and basically told Dre, look, make it happen. Somebody teach her how to mix drinks. Like, someone taught you how to do it. Ain't hard, man. I like to see that. I like to see him just flexing his power a little bit. Even though it's real Tommy is, my boy came in and just flexed his muscle real quick, said do something about it. Even though if he did do something about it, Julio can't really do nothing about it because they need Dre. Dre is an essential part to their plan, but beyond that, my boy Julio came there, pulled the power move of the week. So that's who's getting it this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share. Leave a comment about what you think is going to happen. If you agree with what I said, or what you don't agree with any of my predictions or whatnot, let me know. And you have any ideas how to make the show a little bit better, let me know what you think. As always, you can also catch us throughout the week. I do movie news daily, so just check up with us. Just hang in with us. We'll get better as the season progresses. And as always, stay lost.